Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the PhDisneys and all our staff welcome you to today's course. And on this historic inaugural broadcast, what better way to start than with a day that would change the world of fun family entertainment forever, July 17th, 1955. On this day in history, Walt Disney would open his flagship park, Disneyland. Now, we all may know a few facts regarding this day. However, we've dug deep to find some of the lesser-known facts, such as did you know that there was a plumber strike at the time of the construction? And Walt had to choose between bathrooms and drinking fountains. What was his choice? Well, this, along with other interesting facts, will be the topic of today's episode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
All right, welcome everyone to our first episode of the PhDisney podcast. I am Michael, and I'm here with a few of the other PhDs. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Megan.
I'm Nikki.
I'm Emily.
All right, and also Emily has a YouTube channel. It's Ylime, the Disney Girl. You can check her out. She does reviews on different Disney merchandise, which she will be discussing as well in these podcasts. So that'll be a great addition. Just like the opening said, today we'll be discussing the opening day of Disneyland, July 17th, 1955. We do have some facts and some interesting things that we thought were interesting and that are maybe lesser known. So we'll just get the ball rolling with the very beginning with construction. Kind of like we talked about at the beginning with the plumbers' strike. Which is interesting, choosing between drinking fountains and bathrooms.
I would definitely choose bathrooms.
Me too. Yeah.
Because you can buy
Good
drinks.
choice, Walt.
You can buy drinks, but you really couldn't buy a bathroom.
Well, that's true, but 80 degrees is what it was on that day.
Yeah, but Walt was looking at it this way. I mean, he said, they can buy a Coke, but they can't, go to the bathroom in the street.
Great. That'd be no.
So I think he made a wise choice. Yeah, it would be frustrating. Just like now, I'm standing in line for Rainier Springs Racers, and they're trying to sell me bottled water. There's no drinking fountains anywhere, and they're trying to sell me a $4 bottle of water. And yeah, I'm going to buy it because my kids are dying of thirst. So I understand their frustration, but I do think he was kind of in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Because that was ultimately what he went with, his bathrooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long before he had drinking fountains?
I don't know. That would be interesting to...
I don't think it was too long because we had, there's some pictures. If you want to go check out Justin Scard on YouTube, he has some awesome throwback Disneyland pictures. But he has some from the 50s that has a drinking fountain right in front of where the flag is.
Well, I don't think there were no drinking fountains. I just think they were complaining there weren't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So...
Well, then I think that's fine if there's some. At least there was some.
Yeah, that's true. However, also something interesting was that Disneyland didn't... It technically opened on July 17th, but not to the public. July 17th was a...
Soft opening.
Soft opening.
It was the press.
Right, a press release, which there were...
Well, it was supposed to be just the press, but that didn't happen.
And invited celebrities.
Right. There were 6,000 invitations sent out. But how many attended?
22,000, about.
Well, that's how many fakes there were. But so I guess there were 20.
Knows? Well, but there were people
roughly.
Hopping the fences. Are they taking into
Yes.
account those guys, or is this just who came through the turnstile? You know?
So probably at least 30, probably.
I guess that'd be the turnstile.
So probably at least 30,000.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, no, because if they bought tickets for the rides, they would count that, right?
But people could buy multiple tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it was probably through the turnstile. So I didn't really know people were jumping the fence. So that's interesting. But yeah, 28,000 I guess on a record, but only 6,000 invited and 22,000 people faked tickets.
well, when you give someone an invitation that says you can bring guests,
They don't know the number.
Yeah.
That
They
was
probably
pretty
weren't
sweet.
expecting 50 guests per person, but
Mhm.
Well, it was only if you bought the gold ticket that you can bring as many guests as you want.
yeah.
I would have brought everyone.
Because Tony Baxter showed a gold ticket, and the guy put 39 people.
So did the guests have to pay, or did you buy this gold ticket and everybody else got in free? Like,
Yeah,
how
that's
did
what
that
it
work?
said- That's what Tony Baxter said. If you had this gold ticket, you can bring as many people as you want.
Jeez.
And they didn't have to pay anything extra.
No, not what it sounded like.
But they didn't pay anything because they were all invited. The 6,000 were
Oh,
invited.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Well, he was talking about when you bought the gold ticket.
Oh.
Because the gold ticket was more, like a little bit more expensive, but if you wanted multiple
So this
people,
wasn't on opening day then. This was
The Tony Baxter thing.
yeah.
this gold ticket, because if these guys were all invited, then
Then why would they have to get a gold ticket?
Or pay for it.
yeah.
But July 18th, they would have had to pay for
So
it,
maybe it was like the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
which was $1 for admission. And was that just to get to the park, or did that include any ride?
That was just the park.
You had to buy the ticket books separately.
So that means the guests
So-
he invited, they probably just got them free and had to buy the ticket books.
So if you took into account, yeah, that's true. That's true. But if you took into account inflation, that $1 would be like 9 and some change today. So still, I think that's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd pay $10 just to sit inside Disneyland.
Well, you can actually go to, they used to do, you could be in Disneyland free for 2 hours, though.
No, well, kind of. I mean, you had to give them your credit card, and if you were over that 2 hours, then
They charge you for a full day.
yeah.
Well, now we say that we would be worth it, but back then, I mean,
There was hardly anything.
$1 still in 55 would have been, I mean, not a lot of money, but still some money.
Well, how much
Oh,
did
yeah.
people make
Oh,
back
for sure.
then, though?
I mean, you could buy a loaf of bread for like less than a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
people also made a lot less an hour than we do now.
Well, right, but
And California's probably way expensive back then as well, because it's always been expensive.
I don't know. It would be an interesting thing because of all the success of the cartoons, but I don't know if I would go right at first or not, actually, because you don't know what it's going to be.
But you'd also
Yeah.
be able to say, I was there on opening day. And
Yeah.
that
You
was
have-
a lot of appeal
But you don't
for
know
that.
if it would
But
have
you
been a
don't
flop.
know. I mean, if it was a flop, then who cares if you were there on opening day, you know?
Yeah, but they were hoping it wasn't.
Well,
They
yeah,
were
like,
anybody is hoping that opens something like that.
right.
And it wasn't like it was the first of its kind. I mean, Knott's Berry
Mm-mm.
Farm was there, but
Long time before.
I mean, this is Mickey Mouse. Like he was
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and
Still is.
Walt was already known as an innovator,
Mm-hmm.
so that might have.
Been like, oh, Walt Disney makes good
I'll-
stuff.
Although, if you've seen pictures of the costumes from opening
No, they were
day,
terrible.
I wouldn't call that
Yeah.
Mickey
Kids
Mouse.
would've been so scared.
But they had Sleeping Beauty before the movie came out. They just had some girl.
Oh,
dressed
they were working on the movie though, so
Yeah.
that was smart.
So
I
they
mean, that
were
was a
promoting.
risk to
Mhm.
put that castle in there,
Right.
and no one had even
Yeah.
seen the movie. What if everybody hated it?
Yeah.
And here you got your centerpiece, you know.
But it actually really doesn't look like the movie, though. The one in Paris looks exactly like the movie, but like the one in Disneyland doesn't.
But the movie was just in development, so
Yeah, it was.
they wouldn't have had the planned castle yet.
It's based off of.
Yeah, but yeah, there were this costumes rather were pretty scary up until
They were.
kind of fairly recently.
Yeah.
Recently, they look really good. They have some in Disney World that I've seen that talk and the mouth moves and the
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
blink and they.
Well, that one in California Adventure, the Mickey Mouse that does the red trolley newsboy
Oh,
show.
yeah.
What about the
He
Mickey
talks
Magical
and-
Map? Isn't that Mickey Mouse movie
I don't know. I've never seen
It's
that.
mostly just for events that they have those, just because they have to
It's expensive.
pre-record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except in Disney World, it's like like the short
Yeah,
talk
he-
with Crush. Like you
Yeah.
go and talk with
Mhm.
Well,
Disney
yeah.
and
Meet and greets,
response.
they
They're
Yeah,
actually
do meet and
getting they're
greets.
getting rid of that because
It's
it
not
keeps
working
breaking.
Oh,
The Crush.
No, the
Mickey
Mickey
Oh,
Mouse.
the head.
it's really cool.
That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
But it was pre-recorded. He couldn't really
Yeah.
like interact.
Which,
with
if
you.
your kid's like asking questions and Mickey's like, "Oh boy," you know, it's like,
That's not what I asked you.
Kinda
But
awkward.
okay.
That was pretty good. It's pretty good Mickey Mouse there.
yeah, I practice that.
Every day.
I bet you do.
Well, you have a little one that loves Mickey, so.
She has lots of little ones. Yeah, and that's something that they definitely come a long way with is the dress of Disneyland, because the pictures from the opening, it looks very much carnival-y, which is what Walt had to go with, but now it looks like Fantasyland, for
Roadrunner.
example, when they renovated it in the 80s, it went from sort of carnival pop-up tent looking exteriors to replica.
To look like, downtown London in
Right.
the. But I think Walt was after the whole medieval fair type of thing,
Yeah.
so it wasn't just Walt being cheap. Oh, we're running out of money. Let's just throw up some tents. I think that he was going for that medieval times. He's got his castle
Yeah.
type of thing.
Well, in Disney World, it still looks like a carnival.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But and to that point, there on opening day was 18 attractions. Now there's 51 plus, including California Adventure.
The 51 includes California Adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought there would have been more.
That's both parks, and it's
Well,
plus. I'm
Star
not sure what
Wars
the number
went
is
out.
now. Well, yeah, it's true with the addition of Galaxy's Edge.
And probably
I think it's
Pixar
only like
Pier.
2 rides.
They are adding. Well,
Marvel Land.
but Pixar Pier though, I don't know if that would be in addition because they
That's
took out
true,
like the
yeah.
They're adding.
But they took
One
out
ride.
Malibu.
But they took out
the
They-
Maliboomer.
They took
That was
out
a long time
Bugs
ago.
Life though. I mean Bugs Land.
That
But
takes
they're
up
gonna
4
make
rides right
it-
there.
Yeah.
But
Right,
they're
so then-
putting Marvel Land in.
So it probably
Mhm.
51's probably pretty accurate.
But these attractions aren't just rides; they're also plays.
Yeah.
And, like walking through Cinderella's castle or Cindy's castle is
that's true.
considered an attraction.
Oh yeah, but they're because I don't know because Flix Flyers is being rethemed to be
Yeah, repurposed.
Inside Out.
Inside Out's.
Such a travesty.
What was the
Oh, I
name?
can't remember.
What's the name of
The
that?
orbs or something like the
Em-
emotional
emotion-
whirlwind or something.
I
Yeah.
think they're gonna have to
whatever.
redo the Mickey Silly Symphony Swings, and they just redid that.
I think they already did.
Yeah, isn't it
I
Pixar Pal Around?
Yeah.
no.
No,
no, you're
the
talking about
Ferris
the
That's
swings.
the, that's the Ferris wheel.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I don't
It'll
know.
be interesting to see when we go in a few weeks.
But yeah.
Pixar Pier, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll be going in 2 weeks.
So that's one thing though, is I like to I'm not gonna go to Disneyland in 2019 because I'm gonna avoid it
Mhm.
with the
Like the
new
plague.
with the opening with the new opening of Star Wars Land
Uh-huh.
because it's gonna be so crazy. These people, these 6,000 people that were invited, and then there ends up being close to 30,000. What were they thinking? They're like,
well, I wonder
what?
if they knew how many people were actually coming, or
Well, how would they
no.
know? How
And
on
did they?
earth
I wonder
would
if they
know?
included children in that number because sometimes they didn't include kids in the numbers. It was normally just adults.
Yeah, that's
So I wonder
true.
if the kids were included or if it was strictly for adults.
or did they not bring many kids?
I
Well,
don't
there were a
know.
lot of kids, at least in Fantasyland.
They hired
Well, that might have
kids.
been
They
Oh, is that
they
what it was?
went and got kids from a local some church, some Sunday school class or something that had just gotten out, and they bust them over and said, "Okay, when we tell you to go, run through the castle."
Oh, is that
And
what
so
happened?
you've got this shot of all these kids.
Well, I do know that the first family. So was it the first family or the first few people on 17th or the 18th that they gave lifetime
I
passes
don't
to?
know.
It was
I
the two
was
kids, wasn't it?
it was
Yeah,
it was two
like
kids.
siblings.
But I don't know if it was on the 17th or the 18th. It would make more sense on the 18th, I
Right.
think.
Because of the press, it was the press day on the 17th.
Yeah.
Well, and they also, for the kids, they gave them a pink slip ticket type thing saying that they were there.
Yeah.
Tony Baxter also showed that.
Yeah, because
It's
I
fun. You can actually watch the opening day ceremonies too.
Yeah, and it's just as crazy as they explained that it was.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's all in black and white, and like they have Ronnie Reagan.
I think
Yeah.
Walt
Glitter.
though would.
I was
was happy though that so many people
oh yeah,
were there, but
Oh,
yet
yeah,
not.
sure.
because I mean to him he's probably like, "Oh, this is going to be successful. People like it."
They actually thought, the news people thought it was gonna be Tank.
Everyone thought
Just
it was going
like-
to tank.
Just like Snow White, yeah.
That's
Walt's
the
Folly.
rumor why they have 1313 as their addresses, because they didn't believe it would succeed.
I still like the Mickey Mouse
Mouse
theory
head.
better.
What was the Mickey Mouse
They
theory?
changed
There's the 3 like Mickey Mouse.
Oh, I guess.
I mean, I'm sure that's a stretch, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
Speaking of giving things, this is derailing a little bit from opening day. However, they did just put an indefinite hold on their new 4-diamond hotel that they're planning on building.
Yes.
I've heard 2 theories. I've heard one that there was a gas station on the site they were building it, and they found a gas tank, so it's taking time now to figure out how to get it out and be environmentally friendly and try to figure that out. But I've also heard that they moved it from like 1414 to 1416 was the address, and they went back to the city, and the city said,
No.
"Sure, but we're not going to give you your 70% tax rebate
It was
on
like
those
right,
rooms
$2
anymore."
million.
That's
tax rebate
yeah,
was
and that's the
ridiculous.
one I heard also.
Well, but
I think it all stems back to
how they built
Disney promising a third park that they never built, and so Anaheim is like, we are gonna punish
We're
you
gonna-
every chance we get, because they also, I didn't know this, I was watching Justin Scarred,
Mhm.
and they block off Disney's parking lot
Every once in a
so
while.
yeah, just randomly,
Yep.
so that people will have to use other lots in
Yeah.
the city.
That's
What is
wrong.
that?
That is
I'd
not
be
But
right.
there's a
That's
back way
Disney.
into it that not many people know about. But
Yeah.
still, like, that is just
That is just
I'd
Well-
be
wrong.
not happy if I was Disney.
But
I'd
se-
be like, we bring so many people to your city, and you do this to us.
that
But-
city exists because of Disneyland.
yeah, but look at it this way though: the areas surrounding Disneyland in Anaheim are terrible. Like the
Oh,
neighborhoods
yeah,
around are
mhm.
terrible.
It's
So
ghetto.
instead of giving 70% of the taxes back to Disney, why not take 35% of that and give it back to the city to help
That's
repair the
really good.
roads and all
Oh,
this
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
but would they actually
up.
do that though?
Probably. I mean, but yeah, but I mean, it's not just Disney. There are other resorts around there, other big hotels that they give this break to, but they just decided that they weren't going to. Now Disney said, "Fine, then we're not going to build it." Now, whether they're not going to build it or they're just trying to use that as now, what's your
Leverage.
move, Anaheim?
I've also heard they cut off Run Disney.
Well,
Well,
Disney
Disneyland
did,
did,
yeah.
But
Yep.
Disney has a lot of power though in Anaheim because when Walt Disney was built Disneyland, some of the hotels promised that they'd build it high enough that you could look in Disneyland, but he went to the city and said, "Look what I'm bringing to you guys. It's going to ruin the whole experience." So now they have to have a height requirement for, depending on how close you are to Disneyland, you can only build so high. So
I
you
guess
can't
except
see
for their
the-
own hotels, because their own hotels
Yeah,
are much
Yeah, they're
bigger
huge.
than everything
Paradise
else
Pier Hotel
around.
is giant.
Well, you still can't see it in the park though.
When I stayed at the Grand Californian in the villa,
Like at Disneyland.
right outside on our balcony, you see right into Pixar Pier now. It's under
Oh, yeah.
construction, but so
You
their
can in the
hotels,
park.
the Paradise Pier Hotel's giant. That one's
Okay.
super tall.
And that was
Yeah.
Disney didn't even own that, so
The Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, but it's,
or Paradise
That's
Pier.
true. They didn't.
I mean that could be true for the hotels on the surrounding, like the
mhm.
But those are like right there.
yeah.
But for like, if there was going to be like a Sheraton or something going in.
But I guess that was. She was saying that's when Walt Disney was around. So I mean, obviously Paradise Pier didn't
That's
get built
true.
until I don't know.
But Disneyland Hotel did. Like he made the deal
Mhm.
with the guy that built Disneyland Hotel. That's why
Yeah.
it has its name.
But
Yeah.
it still couldn't look
But I
into
guess
Disneyland
well,
now.
but that was I mean that it's called the Disneyland Hotel, so probably
Yeah.
had different rules. But what I thought was most interesting about this new Four Diamond Hotel is that the city of Anaheim asked Disney to build it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they were not
They
even
wanted
going
another
to
one.
do it.
Uh-huh.
And they came to them. And so it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot here, Anaheim, you know?
Yeah, we'll
Well-
see. We'll see if they come back and say, "Just kidding. We'll give you 90% tax breaks now." I don't know. Kind of like they had that that East Express Gateway, whatever the name was it going to be, that bridge across.
Oh, right.
That they bought that hotel, then they canceled this
The
Yeah.
bridge?
the bridge,
Yeah,
the
they're not doing it anymore.
Skyway.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know why. I mean, that's pretty.
I have
That's
the
a
answer.
pretty structural engineering. That's pretty engineering feat
Yeah,
to
but,
come up with build this bridge and to span the whole way across that
but
road.
think of
and,
the citizens of Anaheim. Because people will just run across the street and sometimes they won't be able to go.
yeah,
Like in the crosswalk.
yeah,
You know?
but I don't know. Anyways, I digress. That was just a little bit off the beaten path. But there's some other things that are well known, such as they poured the asphalt basically that morning, so it was still wet. We had women in their heels, which is kind of interesting. Women in their heels because the dress
I would
then
never wear
You
those.
went out of the house. You were dressed in your Sunday best.
right, you're wearing a dress and guys wearing shirt and ties and if you look at pictures again, like Justin Scard, if you look at pictures, people are wearing dress clothes, which is interesting. And now, basically,
Now we have Dapper Day as our only excuse to dress up at Disneyland.
Right.
But still, people don't. In the Dapper Days, they still are not.
Well, it's not like an official Disneyland thing.
No.
It's just a fan.
Which would be fun. I don't know if I'd dress up, but
I
it'd be fun to
wouldn't.
go to Dapper Day.
Well, you dress up.
It would be fun to
like
see
it's-
everybody else dressed up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, just like at Halloween time when they're in their Halloween costumes.
That's fun. We were there last year during Halloween, and because that's the only time that you can dress up in a costume.
If you're an
If you're an
adult.
adult.
Yeah.
Right.
I
A
was
um,
certain
teenager
time of the
too,
day,
right?
though.
Yeah,
It
I
can't
think
be
it's
all
like
day
14.
either.
right at
It's like
night.
at 3, right?
When
Otherwise,
the
there's
fire
always
started.
that like Disney bounding where you kind of look like the character, but not really. So
You're
you're not
inspired
It's
by
enough
the
that people
character.
can guess what you are, but not know. Oh, hey, there's Ariel over there.
right.
Not mistake you
Yeah.
for
Right.
Well, this
which I agree.
when we
with.
went Halloween
Mhm.
time one time, I thought this girl was really Belle in her blue dress, but I was like,
That's a good
I was like, no, because no one's like mobbing her. You know?
But what would stop kids from, like why wouldn't they? If her costume is that good, why wouldn't they be mobbing her?
Because
Yeah.
there's so much other people there too.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
But I
don't
mean,
know.
hers looked. I was like, "Whoa, was that Belle?" And I was like, "No, that can't be her."
Maybe
Yeah.
it really was Belle, and
She
she's
like-
like, why doesn't anybody love me?
Come to me.
Yeah, so that's interesting as well. Something is the July 17th rather dedication was televised
Mm-hmm.
and
Live.
live right at 4:30 p.m. on ABC, and
Before Disney owned ABC.
yes, and still as far as I know, it was the biggest live telecast to date. So that's interesting.
So just
So because that kind of doesn't support the 1313 being because they thought it would fail theory, because if
well, no, they probably gave him the address before it even opened.
well they definitely did
Well,
that, but if they were willing to live telecast it and all this kind of stuff, you'd expect it to be
Disney had a deal with ABC. That's why they
Yeah.
Well,
were able
but
to do it.
But I mean, obviously Disney knew people better than these banks, and
Right.
But he for a year before this, he had his Disneyland TV show,
Mhm.
so he was like getting people
Yeah.
excited for a year up until that. So yeah, they were gonna tune in. It's like I've been watching this show for a year,
Yeah.
and they probably had like 5 channels to choose from in 1955, and so he
Yeah.
had a huge audience, and he already had a fan base. People already loved his cartoons, and by that time, how many animated features did he have by 55? Several.
yeah.
And Mickey Mouse was huge. He was already in the merchandise industry, and you had the stuffed animals and all those things. So it wasn't like just this unknown guy
Right.
throwing a party.
People knew who Walt was.
Right, definitely.
You're right.
He
Didn't
was
want to do it.
definitely very good at advertising. He
Yeah.
knew how to entice people to want his stuff and want to watch everything.
But it's interesting because a lot of people didn't believe in Disneyland. I actually have a brother-in-law whose great uncle, I guess it would be, Walt Disney approached about being an investor in Disneyland, and he said no.
Oh.
The same uncle
Ouch.
though,
Oh, he's kicking himself.
yeah, the same uncle though went on to be an animator, and
For
he,
Disney?
Yep, and he solely was responsible for Thumper.
What's
he,
his name?
He drew Thumper. I can't remember all the.
I'll just watch.
I'll bring
Bambi and
the-
watch the credits.
I'll bring the name on the next podcast. But he worked on Thumper, and he worked on Song of the South as well. And this
Wow.
brother-in-law actually has like original cells from Song of the
That's
South
awesome.
and Thumper and this kind of thing. So
Song of the South, the movie they wish that they could say they didn't make.
I've never
Thumper's a
seen
pretty
it.
big
I've never
character.
seen it,
Because
so I don't.
you can't buy a
I've never
copy.
seen it. It's
You,
not that out of a movie.
you can't get a copy.
Well,
like,
no, it's just
legal.
very
Not in this
racist.
country.
It's just
I
very
think other
Yeah, in
racist.
other
countries,
countries
still
you
you
can
can
get
get it.
I don't know.
But
if
I don't
legal.
think they've Disney definitely hasn't released it since then.
Oh no.
Well, I think
Well,
they just
maybe in
needed
the
to do the
80s
cartoon
or
part.
90s.
That was the
No,
most
no.
entertaining to me,
Mhm.
anyway. Was the cartoon part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he told him no. he didn't want to be an
Oh,
investor.
that's just.
So does that mean he gets?
So have you talked to this guy, or is he?
No,
long
he's
gone?
been dead for a long time.
Did he regret that? Like
I don't know. I'll have to
I want
ask.
to read that guy's journals.
I'll have to ask. I'm not
So
sure.
that mean he got money? Pay when Disney would do anything with Thumper.
I don't know. No, because
no, he wouldn't have royalty.
because he worked. He was an
Oh.
animator for Disney,
Yeah.
so he just drew what they wanted him to. So they owned
Oh.
it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would definitely want to get my hands on those
Cells.
cells.
Who has them?
My brother-in-law does.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're hanging in their house on the wall. I
So
look
you
at them
see
every
them?
time I go over,
No.
and I
You
Can I
drool.
have?
I do
Michael, wipe your
drool.
mouth.
I do. Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm surprised Disney doesn't have those because they have Snow Whites.
Well, I'm
There's
sure they
a lot
have
that Disney doesn't
there's
have.
thousands of cells per movie, so I mean they have tons of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
But they also sell off a lot of their stuff.
And
like
what are they
when-
gonna do with
auction.
them?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
other than
Well, I
making
wonder
money.
where they keep everything that they
They've
keep.
got warehouses.
Probably a giant vault in the mountain somewhere,
It'd be so cool to
Deep
go and
beneath
see it.
Disneyland, there's a vault.
along with Walt Disney's Frozen head.
Right.
Frozen head. I thought he was.
No, it's
cremated.
his whole body
Oh.
frozen. Cryogenics. Dude.
That's
Come
right,
on, we're
right.
gonna bring him back here.
His whole
When they
body.
redo tomorrow, Hannah, next
Yeah.
time.
Which we'll
Eric.
We never.
we'll talk about that myth. That's been talked about a lot, but we'll talk about it a little bit later as well. But there's some other things that we like to discuss in this podcast as well, along with interesting facts are myths about Disneyland and different things that people have perpetuated throughout YouTube videos, even still today, saying these things that are absolutely unfounded and not true. We'll talk about and debunk those. And as well as some other things, sometimes we'll talk about different movies that have come out, Disney or non-Disney.
Disney
But
one.
mostly, this podcast will be focused on Disney. So that's all we've got for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed this first inaugural podcast of the PhDisney. Hopefully it's been interesting and there's been some interesting facts. But we will continue to bring you the best that we can on a weekly or bi-weekly at least basis. That's all I've got.
Peace out.
Well,
Well,
see you later.
thanks everyone.